Stoicism was a philosophical system that flourished in ancient Greece and Rome. It has also had a significant impact. For over 2,000 years, intellectuals and leaders have read and pondered the writings of Stoic thinkers such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. William Irvine argues in his brief but wonderfully readable book, A Guide to the Good Life, The Ancient Art of Stoic Joy, that Stoicism is an ideal and rational philosophy of life. He also thinks that becoming a Stoic would make many of us happier. This is an amazing assertion. In our continuously changing, technology-dominated society, how can the theory and practice of a philosophical school formed 1,500 years before the Industrial Revolution have anything to say to us today? In response to that question, Irvine had a lot to say. The most intriguing portion of his response, however, is his description of particular techniques that the Stoics advocate everyone adopt on a regular basis. Negative visualization, internalization of goals, and constant self-denial are three of the most crucial. Negative visualization. When parents kiss their children goodnight, Epictetus advises them to consider the potential that the child will die during the night. And as you say goodbye to a friend, remember that you may never see them again, say the Stoics. Along the same lines, you can envision your home being destroyed by fire or a tornado, your job being lost, or the gorgeous car you just purchased being crushed by a runaway truck. Benefits of imagining the worst. Why indulge such dreadful thoughts? What good can come from what Irvine refers to as negative visualization? Here are a few advantages to contemplating the worst-case scenario. Anticipating tragedy can lead to proactive measures. Imagining your family dying from carbon monoxide poisoning, for example, may drive you to install a carbon monoxide detector. If you have already envisioned how something terrible could happen, you will be less surprised if it happens. On a more mundane level, we are all familiar with this. Many people, before taking an exam, think or even convince themselves that they have done poorly so that they will be less upset if this is the case. Negative visualization, in this and other contexts, prepares us intellectually and emotionally to deal with bad experiences when they occur, which they will undoubtedly do. Thinking about the loss of something allows us to appreciate it more thoroughly. We're all familiar with the inclination to take things for granted. We think it's fantastic when we first acquire a new house, car, guitar, smartphone, shirt, or whatever. However, the novelty wears off quickly, and we no longer find it exciting or even intriguing. Psychologists refer to this as hedonic adaptation. However, imagining the loss of the thing in issue can reinvigorate our admiration for it. It is a technique that assists us in following Epictetus's instructions and learning to desire what we already have. The third of these arguments for negative visualization is perhaps the most essential and convincing, and it extends far beyond newly purchased gadgets. There is so much to be thankful for in life, yet we frequently moan that things aren't perfect. However, everyone reading this post is most likely living a life that most people throughout history would have considered inconceivably pleasant. There is little reason to be concerned about famine, plague, war, or violent oppression. Anesthesia, antibiotics, and modern medicine, instant communication with anybody, anytime, the capacity to travel nearly anywhere in the world in a matter of hours, and instant access to great art, literature, music, and science via the internet. The list of things to be thankful for is nearly endless. Negative visualization serves as a reminder that we are living the dream. Internalization of goals. We live in a culture that places a high value on worldly accomplishment. As a result, people seek to gain admission to elite colleges, acquire a lot of money, start a successful business, become famous, attain high status in their employment, win prizes, and so on. The problem with all of these objectives is that whether or not they are achieved is largely determined by events beyond one's control. Assume you want to win an Olympic medal. You can devote your entire life to this aim, and if you have enough natural talent, you may become one of the world's top athletes. However, whether or not you win a medal is determined by a variety of factors, including who you compete against. If you are competing against competitors who have natural advantages over you, such as greater physiques and physiology suited to your sport, a medal may simply be out of reach. The same is true for other objectives. Making wonderful music isn't enough if you want to become famous as a musician. Your song must be heard by millions of people, and they must enjoy it. These are not easily controllable issues. Determine what you can control. As a result, the Stoics teach us to carefully discriminate between what is under our control and what is beyond our control. According to them, we should concentrate solely on the former. As a result, we should be concerned with what we choose to strive for, with becoming the person we want to be, and with living according to sound principles. These are all goals that are fully dependent on us, not on how the world is or treats us. As a result, as a musician, my goal should not be to have a #1 hit, sell 1,000,000 copies, play at Carnegie Hall, or perform at the Super Bowl. Instead, my purpose should be to create the best music possible within my chosen genre. Of course, attempting to do so will boost my chances of public recognition and international success. But even if things don't come my way, I won't have failed, and I shouldn't be too disappointed, because I will have met the objective I set for myself, practicing self-denial. The Stoics think that we should occasionally purposefully deny ourselves certain pleasures. For example, if we typically have dessert after a meal, we might skip it once every few days. We might even replace bread, cheese, and water for our customary, more intriguing dinners on occasion. The Stoics even encourage voluntarily experiencing discomfort. For example, one could fast for a day, underdress in chilly weather, sleep on the floor, or take a cold shower on occasion. Reasons for using this strategy. What is the goal of such self-denial? What is the point of doing such things? The reasons are actually identical to the causes for negative visualization practice. Self-denial toughens us up so that we can deal with involuntary hardship or suffering in the future. There is a very familiar concept here. That is why the Army makes boot camp so difficult. The idea is that if soldiers become accustomed to hardship on a regular basis, they would be able to cope better when it matters most. Military leaders have been thinking along these lines since at least ancient Sparta. Indeed, the militaristic Spartans were so persuaded that denying men luxury made them better soldiers that it became ingrained in their entire way of life. Even today, the term Spartan refers to a lack of amenities. Self-denial teaches us to appreciate the pleasures, comforts, and conveniences that we take for granted all the time. In principle, most people will agree with this. But, of course, putting the theory into practice is difficult since the sensation of voluntary discomfort is uncomfortable. Still, perhaps a recognition of the importance of self-denial is one of the reasons individuals prefer to go camping or hiking. But are the Stoics right? The arguments for employing these Stoic tactics appear to be compelling, but should they be trusted? Will negative visualization, internalizing goals, and self-denial actually make us happier? The most likely explanation is that it is somewhat dependent on the individual. Negative visualization may assist some people in appreciating the things they currently love more fully. However, it may cause others to become increasingly concerned about losing what they value. After presenting various examples of time's destructiveness, Shakespeare concludes in Sonnet 64, "Time has taught me to obsess on the fact that time will come and take my love away. This thinking is like a dying, which cannot choose but to mourn in order to have what it fears losing." Negative visualization does not appear to be a technique for happiness for the poet. Rather, it produces worry and drives him to become even more connected to that which he will one day lose. On the surface, Internalization of goals appears to be fairly reasonable. Try your best and accept that objective achievement is dependent on things over which you have no control. However, the possibility of objective success, an Olympic medal, money, a hit record, or earning a prestigious prize, can be extremely motivating. Some people may not care about such outward measures of achievement, but the majority of us do. And it's undeniably true that many remarkable human accomplishments have been fueled, at least in part, by a desire for them. Self-denial is not particularly appealing to the majority of people. However, there are some grounds to believe that it provides the benefits that the Stoics stated. In the 1970s, Stanford scientists conducted a well-known experiment in which young children were asked to delay eating a marshmallow in order to receive an additional incentive. The study's startling conclusion was that people who were best able to wait pleasure performed better in later life on a variety of metrics, including educational success and overall health. This appears to support the notion that will strength is like a muscle, and that training the muscle via self-denial builds self-control, a necessary component of a happy existence.